All right, so there's quite a few questions like this in one of the Pythagorean theorem con skills. And the reality is the only way to do this is to do Pythagorean theorem twice. So what do I mean by that? I mean that there's two triangles that you're going to have to solve for. So obviously we want to know this D distance, right, that goes from corner to corner in this prism. But in order to do that, you need to make a right triangle. And the right triangle that I would make would be this one right here. And we do know that this length is 5, so all the heights are 5. So we could say, we know this is 5, but the problem is you don't know this diagonal length here. But that's okay, because you can find it. So I'm going to make this blue triangle here. And really, that would be a right angle. And so if I was to redraw just that bottom triangle, it would look like this. And so what we're going to do, let's call it x. We're going to do Pythagorean theorem to find x real quick. And x is the hypotenuse, so it goes all by itself. So 4 plus 64 equals x squared. And so essentially we get the square root of 68 equals x, right? Because we'd have to add those together, then take the square root. All right, well now we know that this bottom length here is the square root of 68. So now we can focus on the red triangle to find that long distance. It's not so bad. It's just Pythagorean theorem twice. So now I could, if I redrew this red triangle, this is a 5. This bottom distance I now know is the square root of 68. And now I would just do Pythagorean theorem again, and now I'm going to find the hypotenuse of this new triangle that I just drew. And so I could say 5 squared plus the square root of 68 squared equals d squared. 5 squared is obviously 25. The beauty of keeping it in square root form like this is obviously a square root and a square just cancel each other out, so that's just 68. All right, well, what is 25 plus 68? Well, it's 93. And so therefore you take the square root of both sides to get rid of the square for the d, and you get the d is simply the square root of 93. And there's our answer. It does ask you to round to your nearest tenth, so you're going to have to actually put square root 93 in your calculator, and you would get 9.64366. But they want you to round to the nearest tenth. 4 does not round up, so your answer is actually going to be 9.6. So when you see a problem like this, it's a weird diagonal, you're going to need to do Pythagorean theorem twice.